We are here, episode 1 of the Dirt Bags podcast, in the studio with my co-host, Luke Payne of Black Iron Dirt. What's going on, Luke?
Luke, the other dirt bag. What's going on, man?
Just a couple dirt bags talking, having a good conversation. So what's the point of this podcast, and what's new about it?
So I think you and I both kind of decided to where we have a pretty good reach on our social medias, but we wanted to collaborate together to provide more of like an informational podcast, and then hopefully build some sort of network behind that to help these people that may have questions regarding, starting their own business in the dirt world or anything like that, to where, we can send them to, so-called website or said website and say, hey, talk to these people. These are our trusted, partners, we should call them. And they'll get you set up with any questions you need. That, and not only, just to get people involved, just to bring people together in the dirt world. So
for sure. Yeah. I love just, diving into it because it's, we've been on a couple podcasts together before. And so this is different for us and for a few other people, but really what this is it's so hyper focused in the dirt world. Like we're bringing on guests that are in the dirt world, whether that's financing, lawyers, even tax accountants and just business owners like yourself. And, I'm super stoked to just be talking with these people and really shedding light on the dirt world, but then also going even further, like when we do have a platform, we can sort of connect those individuals and businesses together because it just feels like it's an industry that has so much more potential, and that, there are some bigger players out there really doing a great job of like stepping up and helping. But I think we're just, doing our part to try and connect the dots here.
But then also like answer questions of the unknown for that new person coming in, so it's trying to take down those walls of barrier of entrance, if that makes sense. I remember, I'm sure when you started your business, you were like, where do I start? Where do I go? And how many other people are, asking those same questions, and hopefully we can get people on here to really kind of open those questions up and really dissect them with some good answers.
Yeah. And what one of my favorite things is, after this, we'll kind of go into some introductions of who you and I, who you and I are and what we do. But one of my favorite things is to talk with entrepreneurs and business owners, just because it is such a different thing to go through. It's almost like this community of, if you're an entrepreneur, like you and I have something in common, and
Correct.
There's a lot of great things and there's a lot of bumps in the road, but having somebody to help answer some of those questions, I'm about 2.5 years in. I think you're about 3 or
right around 3
or so in. And so it's like, do we know everything? No, but do we know more than we did 2.5 years ago? Definitely.
100%.
And if
I was going to say, and the connection, like you could be in completely different industries, but just talking, business related topics, you can get lost in conversation. Like when you and I had lunch the other day, that was a 2-hour lunch.
Yeah.
Right. And it didn't feel like it. We were like, oh God, we should probably go back to work.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love that. And so I'm just super stoked to have entrepreneurs on and even listening in and just like sending us feedback, sending us questions. Like Luke and I have, we've got a lot of plans to do things for, the listeners, and just really make this as immersive and interactive as possible. And, we've got a list of guests, we'll announce that later in the show here. But first, Luke Payne, do you mind introducing yourself for people that don't know who you are and what you do and like how you got into this business?
Yeah. So like Luke said, my name is Luke, the two Lukes. I'm Luke P, he's Luke E. I own Black Iron Dirt here in Fargo. And that company, we're a small excavation company is how we market it. We do everything from finish home grades to basement excavation to, demolition, all that type of thing, kind of more of the specialty realm of the excavation side. What made us really want to get into it, or what made me really want to get into it, is the machines. I mean, I love machinery. I don't know what it is. The work is super fun, but like operating, it's just so soothing. So I think that's my favorite part about it. But then, opportunity. There's just a lot of opportunity to really grow within our market, to where, we can help other contractors out. I think the whole mentality of just bad business is really prominent in today's like entrepreneurial world. So I'd like to somehow flip that to where, contractors can work with other contractors very easily and they can both obtain what they're trying to, get done.
So you and I have talked about it before, but it's so funny how, a lot of people ask you like, what's your secret sauce? Like, what are you doing different? And I guess what's your answer to what's your magic trick to seeing this success and to doing what you do?
Honestly, people ask me that all the time. They're like, "Oh, you got really big in those 3 years." I'm like, "Yeah, we actually, we grew pretty good in size." I honestly think like our, magic sauce per se is honestly like our equipment. Everyone's kind of trending with that black equipment now. But newer trucks, nicer equipment, the work that we do, but then also how we present that work thanks to Phase of Marketing. But I think our reach is so beyond what others are doing and how they're trying to like tell a story. A lot of people are like, I see on social media, they'll have like a job, say, "Yo, completed, done, on to the next." I'm like, you didn't tell anything about that job. There was no storyline. How boring. If I'm another contractor, I'm going to be like, "Oh, that was dumb," and then keep scrolling. But if they have like a picture of something cool and something, that attracts you in, you're going to be like, okay, let's divulge into that. And then if you have a good, bio or whatever behind that picture, it'll really kind of immerse people into it. And then I think they'll take kind of a liking to you, and, maybe it's another contractor to where, "Oh, hey, let's give that guy a shot," or "Hey, let's bring that guy on," type thing.
Right.
So I think that's kind of like our secret, and it's not really a secret.
Right.
It's just, doing things a little bit differently.
Yeah. It's almost like you're not doing like a secret thing that's incredible. It's like, you're just not doing the stupid stuff. And
correct.
Or at least you're, trying to stay away from the stupid stuff. It happens to all of us, but
everybody does something stupid at one point, right?
It's like, the simple things like don't burn bridges and, communicate well, send texts back, do your best to send emails back and just kind of make it right. Obviously we'll all have bad eggs in business where you just can't make anything right with them, but just trying to be a good person, being transparent and realizing that, hey, we're all in this thing called life together. Like, let's not make each other's life suck more. And, a couple other things that I think Black Iron, like why you guys are seeing some of this success is, for one, it's you, it's also your team, you're only as good as your team.
Correct.
But, they go hand in hand together because I'm good friends with your whole team and like they love working with you. So it definitely goes hand in hand. But then also, another thing is realizing you can't do everything. And I'm really interested to bring on like an owner operator, as we kind of progress on this podcast and just see, like the one man show where they're big and it's just them owning, operating, doing everything, because that is really intriguing to me. Not only, are they putting in the long hours and the hard work, which is you just need to do, but it's interesting to see how they've structured that. So sometimes you can't get away from it if you can't find the business, but definitely interested to hear your take on that of trying your best to run the business and get away from like the project work, I guess.
For sure. One, my team is phenomenal. Obviously we wouldn't be where we are today because of my team. Go boys. Way to go.
Boys.
The boys. No, they're phenomenal. And I should have put that in the secret sauce, making sure you have a good team. That's definitely number one. They're the ones, making everything look good, taking care of the equipment. I'm just behind the scenes invoicing, texting people back or making calls saying, "Yep, they'll be here at this time." But they're the ones actually making it happen. So yeah, that's definitely all out to the team. But as for owner operators, just kind of going off topic here. Have you ever heard of Compact Loader Service? He's on Instagram. We should get him on because he is straight up like owner operator. He's got a couple different like machines. I know he's got, some of the fun and Kong attachments. So he would be super cool to interview and, see what he thinks about the whole world. Cause I've followed him for a while and it's super fun to watch his content.
Yeah, definitely. And just to see like, cause he is likely the back office. He's the owner, he's the manager, he's the technician. So
does it all.
Super fascinated by that. And it hasn't been how I've structured my business, but I love learning from people and just seeing what makes them tick and what they love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So he would be super fun. We should look into that.
Yeah, definitely. So So, definitely, obviously you're very qualified to, be talking about dirt and kind of how we met. Obviously we've known each other for a long time.
For a while,
Grew up in the same town, decorated cookies together when we were
Yep.
young.
Played football in the backyard, knocked a couple teeth out. Was that year? That was at my birthday party. Remember when when I lost my front tooth?
Yeah.
And then you lost yours too.
And no, just tons of good times. And then, obviously high school comes around and we do that whole thing, but we came kind of back in touch. I think it was probably deep into college or maybe just after, but I had started my business, Phaser Marketing, and, you'd been going for a little while with Black Iron, and we just said, let's work together and let's see how this works. So that would have been April of 2020. We kind of started working together. And at that time, like we were only taking on, we were taking on everyone and anyone.
Yep.
If it was a coffee shop, if it was a real estate agency, if it was Black Iron Dirt, like we would work with anyone. And not until like probably 5 months ago, we switched our focus into the dirt world, and it has been like the best thing since. So now I can. Why
did you want to go into the dirt world? Sorry to cut you off, but what brought you into that realm? Like, what was something that you saw and you're like, yep, dirt world clients only, getting everybody else out, not everybody else out, but not taking any more on.
It's a great question, and I love answering it because I'm just open and honest with how it is. So the dirt world, obviously I got to work with you since April 2020. So I got to see most of what goes on there. And just for one, it's like you're a kid. It just fascinates me to see dirt and then what comes out as the finished product, and just like the craft that goes into it that I've never experienced. So I know 99% of the people I talk to when I work, they have way more experience than I do because I've never operated any of these machines, but I also have the appreciation of what they do. So really what got me into it is, okay, the craft for what they do and the appreciation for the hours and the work they put in, but also, in my opinion, the dirt world is kind of lagging back in telling their stories online and really having a good presence. So my business mind kind of went off and I said, okay, I am already attracted to this market. Why not give them our service, which is digital marketing, but, pertain that to them. And so, definitely saw that. And then another thing that really attracted me to the market, I love the big ticket projects. Like these guys are just casually doing like $20,000 bids, $100,000 bid, $1 million bid. And it blows my mind. And so I think those bigger numbers really attracted me as well, of like, wow, this is really cool. What if because I love the partnerships and everything and marketing for the long term. So instead of getting somebody 30 more products at $5 a product in a month, I'd rather get somebody 1 or 2 giant contracts in a year and just like celebrate that. So that's kind of why I went into the dirt world, but really to help this market like speak their voice and their story. And it is some of the coolest stories that I've seen. And, that's why this podcast too will be really awesome, just because we get to have those people on here.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm anxious for those conversations too. There's some really cool people in this industry.
Yeah. So, and just to reiterate again, so this is the Dirt Bags podcast. So I call it it's like an organized, laid back feel. So we are going to be sipping whiskey, which Luke will talk about in a minute here, but having fun, having guests on, but also have it in an organized way so we can deliver content to you guys. And you're not wasting your time. We want to be on all podcast platforms, YouTube, even our website, and, give you good quality content. So it's an organized, laid back feel. We will be exploring all opportunities like with this platform, and just having a good time doing it.
Mm-hmm. My random question again, Luke, what's your, when you listen to a podcast, what's your favorite thing about a podcast?
My favorite thing about a podcast would definitely be, I always, put it on at like 1.2 speed. I don't like listening to it at normal speed. And just kind of getting lost in the conversation. So I'll love to go on a walk, and something that motivates me to do something better than I am. So I love these entrepreneurship and business podcasts just because I'm already in this space. I could be wasting my time listening to music or just, sitting on my phone, sitting on Instagram, but I want to be doing something productive. So my favorite thing about podcasts is kind of the mindless, I'm just encapsulated by the stories that they're telling and the conversations that people are having. So definitely a big fan of just the put it in and kind of zone out the world and focus on, the conversations that are being had.
Just the information that they spew out, for sure. My favorite, hands down, whenever Andy Frisella has a Q&AF, that's instant play. Those are my favorite when people ask him questions and he gives his, most honest opinions on it. I love those.
I love that. We'll have to bring that into the show of having, quick fire questions from people that are listening. And then we'll, shoot those out to the guests just to get those honest, like legitimate answers of, you don't have time to think about this. Just give us your quick
just
answer.
raw speaking, throw it out. Absolutely.
And especially by the end of the episode, I mean, if you're a couple of those drinks in, I mean, it could get good. So
yeah, hopefully our words don't start slurring. That's for sure.
Yeah. We'll have to watch out for that, but no, it'll be a good time. And what are you drinking right now?
I'm sipping on some Bighorn is what it's called. It's a Montana distilled whiskey. Willie's Distillery is actually is a distiller, I would assume is what it's called for the whiskey. And I found them, we go to Montana and do, some skiing every now and then in the winters. And they have, it was on display at this place called The Rocks in Big Sky. And we're like, yep, let's give that a try. And by far favorite whiskey. And a little bit about them, which is kind of cool. The guy is a veteran. So he served, I'm not sure where he served, but he's, pro-American, pro-whiskey. So that was super cool. But yeah, great stuff.
Dude, what are you sipping on? Bighorn. I love it.
Yeah, shout out Bighorn. Shout out Willie's.
I would lie and say that I've got Bighorn in this cup, but haven't gotten that yet. So I've got a cold Coors Light, which I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but
Mountain Blue, baby.
Yeah, typically a Bud Light or Busch Light drinker, but it's all we had left over. I was just telling you before we started recording that we were just in Vegas over the weekend, so I had some extra cans, kind of just a mixed bag of things and just trying to get rid of some of it. So
absolutely. Yeah, there you go. Good deal.
But so a couple other things, I want to, touch on with you and just like this conversation too is, you've been in for about 3 years. When you look at that and you look at what you're building and kind of the brick by brick mentality, do you feel like somebody starting out, that has to be tougher than somebody where you're at 3 years from now? Like, don't you think that starting out, there's just so many things and you're not getting paid as well either? Like, what are your thoughts on starting out to 3 years in to 10 years in maybe?
So starting out, one thing that I would change if I were to do it again, I would try to find the market that I want to be in, which is, again, it's tough to really kind of hammer that down until you actually do it. But, like when I first started, I would take on anything. There was people in the Lakes area that are like, oh, can you bring in some riprap for me? Yeah, for sure. And I, did not care to do that at all, but it was a job for it. So I think finding out what you want to do, finding out where there's opportunity, people that are working right now, in said companies, whatever they work for, they know those opportunities. So it's just, them taking that leap to actually do it. And I think, them having a lot of questions, them having a lot of fear, hopefully that kind of eases that to where they're like, okay, we have some answers now. But as far as like, when you do start out, it's, finding that one thing you want to do compared to 3 years down the road to where I can kind of pick and choose what we want to do now. Like people call and ask if we will still do those rock removals and that type of thing. I'm not trying to sound bad when I say this, but I have no interest in doing those. And I'll be straight up to those people instead of saying, yep, we'll get you an estimate. And then just putting it off to where these people are like, okay, you said you were going to give me a number. Where is it? Just straight up tell them not something I'm interested in. Most of the time they'll ask for like a referral or something. And, I kind of have a book of business of, what realm people are in, and I'll send them that way. And that's another thing that you develop too, when you start out, other people that want to kind of grow their niche, that you can send them to. But yeah, other than that, it's, have fun. try different things, take some risks. There's really no right or wrong answer when you run your own business. You can be as creative as you want. And yeah, I mean, that's probably the best advice I have. I'm sure there's other people that could chime in on that as well, but that's what I've noticed in that industry.
Yeah, it's interesting when you bring that up, because the first word that comes to my head is collaboration. And I think it is just so important, because it makes your business less transactional and more about the relationships. And in the long haul, if you're all about the relationships, you're going to make the money. Like, the money is going to come with it. But, just working with other contractors, working with other subs of all different sizes, it's the same thing that we do as a marketing agency. Like, if I get somebody that comes out to, reaches out to me and says, "Hey, Luke, I own a real estate agency. Like, can you do our marketing?" Like, respectfully, I'll just say, "No, we only work with excavation companies, but here's my friend. He does killer real estate marketing work. Here's his number." And I'll just make that introduction. So essentially it's the same thing that you're doing, except within the industry, which, if you don't like to do a certain thing, or it's too low of a ticket or too high of a ticket, even, you can send that out. And I think a good example, which would parlay really well with my next point, is like, so we are a marketing agency. We work with companies usually in like the 1 to 10 million revenue mark. It's just kind of what we set. Usually it kind of works out well with our fees and kind of what these companies are looking for. And for example, BuildWit, which I'm sure everyone knows listening, they work with like the big guys,
the big companies. Yeah.
Yeah. And for great reason too. Like, I hear it all the time. Like, people always complain about their prices, and they're always, bitching about that and stuff. But I'm like, hey, good for them. I mean, they're killing it. They offer obviously great services, exposure, and, values is a big one. And for them to just find their niche and focus on that, like, good for them. So that would be an example of, just say a big construction company reach out to me and they're focused on, we need this research done. That's not up our alley. We're more of the simplicity marketing, where we're checking all your boxes, but we would just refer that out to another company and not pretend like, we know what we're doing. So, but I did
point on price that you said, saying where the people that are complaining about the prices, one, I'm sorry, but they usually can't afford them, which is fine. But if you can't afford them, don't bitch about them. Right. There's a reason that those prices are there. There's a reason, most of those people are setting those prices so they're able to make a little on the top, make their payments, pay their guys. In BuildWit's case, they're trying to build this infrastructure to really help a lot of people. So of course, you're going to pay a little bit more for them. And I'm sure you have that same mentality to where, well, making money is not a bad thing. Every business has to make money to thrive. And I feel like that's instilled in so many people to where they're like, "Oh, you're making money." Well, yeah, I'm making money. I got to live, you dipshit, things like that. So I think that's another thing in the industry that people need to be okay with. Yeah, I'm making a little money. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. And one of my favorite lines that I love to say, I'm just very open about it, is, you're not in business to break even. Like,
Correct.
why would you be in business to pay all your bills and make a little bit and then like call it good? Like, it can be your passion. Sense. It can be your passion. It can be your number one favorite thing to do is your business, but you might as well make a little bit more too. And like, save for your kids' college, or like go on these trips, or travel out to see your clients and do all these fun things. So never be afraid to have that mentality, is you're not in business to break even. So if you need to adjust your prices, and then that means you have to say no to a certain amount of people, it's not a bad thing. And you're not dissing them or burning those bridges. You're just, in a different market. And, we've had to go through that, or I guess it's a pleasure to like kind of move around and like have the opportunity to say no. But we just do it respectfully. We just tell people, yep, this is kind of the market we're in. This is what we charge. If it doesn't work for you, no big deal. We're not going to lose sleep at night. But this is kind of where we're at. So let us know if that works. If not, no big deal.
I actually learned a good lesson this fall from that price. I talk about, when you have a price in mind, stick with that. Okay. Because that's the price that you need to make money at. As soon as somebody comes back and said, can you do it at this number, or this number sounds better, don't instantly say, yep, we'll do it at that price just to get it. You're devaluing your work at that point. We had a job this year to where we took on a smaller project. I called it filler work. We were a little bit slower at the time. It was kind of that transition from fall to winter, not a lot going on. So we took it on, and it ended up just being a nightmare. If the original number that I quoted them, if they would have gone with that, then, it would have probably gone a little bit smoother, because there were some unforeseen issues, whatever, we had to take care of them. But then the guy was like, well, how about you do it for this? And I was like, well, since it's filler work, yeah, that's fine. We can just do it for that. And it just, not good. So Dylan, one of my guys, was like, Luke, can we not do that again? And I was like, yes, we are never doing that again. So it was a good lesson to where, I feel like I devalued our work at that point. When you have a number, that's your number to make it happen. If it doesn't work for them, that's fine. Somebody will probably always be cheaper than you, whatever, but that's where you value yourself at. So that was kind of a big lesson for me.
Totally. And it's always, in negotiations, in especially your business and my business, do your best to never fluctuate on the price and negotiate the price, but try to explain your value better, because there's a reason you're priced at where you're at, and you're just not getting across your value to the potential customer. And you don't have to work with every customer. Like it's very hard, especially when you're starting out, to say no and to turn away business. But if it's not in your best interest and you think it's going to be a bitch, to your team and just like your sleep and your positivity and your attitude, like,
your checkbook.
I don't know. It's
no.
Your checkbook. I mean, it's just not worth it. The extra, a couple $100 or $1,000, whatever it ends up being. It's just that mentality already has been set of like, okay, he'll budge on this. He may budge on this and this and that. And it can just be a roller coaster then. Yeah.
And you never want to be known for being the cheap guy in town. Never. Because one, everybody in that same industry is going to hate you because you're bringing down their markets. Right. And I see it all the time. It's a big thing in snow in this area right now. Everyone's like, oh, the fucking cheap guy, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. Big lesson I learned.
So I want to change gears a little bit and talk about the future of this podcast and kind of what we've got in store. So technically this isn't episode 1. I know I said that earlier, but this is kind of just the intro and the overview. Intro. Yeah. This is just explaining who we are, what we're all about, and what we've got coming. So I talked about them a little bit, but as I said, BuildWit has been just a staple in this industry. And I think everyone listening can agree to that they are paving the way to make the dirt world a better place. And that has been Aaron and their whole team's mission and values. So I've definitely looked up to their company and what they're doing for a long time now. And Luke, I'm sure you can admire what they're doing, and definitely like what they're doing in the dirt world. So, we've got some exciting things coming up, and I'll have you break that news.
Our first guest is going to be Aaron fucking Witt. So Luke and I are both pumped to get him on here. Cause again, I think we both listen to the Dirt Talk podcast. And it flows so well. So I'm excited to really get him on and kind of just dive into different topics with him that he's seen. Cause like you said, he's such a, he's an influencer in the dirt world. No, that's the best word to say it, because he's got such a good following. And what he's doing for, again, not only those bigger companies, but it's trickling down into smaller companies. And just, he really cares about like people. He really cares about the dirt world, and he really is trying to make it a better place. So it's super fun to follow along with that. And again, having him on as our first guest, I'm super pumped. So hopefully we can get some whiskey sent to him, and we can all have a couple and just unleash into a good conversation.
Yeah. Shout out Bighorn. So if they don't sponsor this, we'll just take out Bighorn and do
and just Jack Daniels or Pendleton or Silver.
We'll have Brandon do a voiceover on that. But I'm super stoked to have him on. Obviously, I'm a marketing guy in the dirt world. You're in the dirt world, but also like have that marketing background. And Aaron is he's both.
Two worlds collide right now.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's wild. And just like his reach and his influence, but then his passion and his mission is just like so cool. So we're like, hey, let's dig into this. I'm excited to get some questions in from, other people listening, and like we can throw those out at him on episode 1. So we'll have a spot for you guys to drop those questions in, but super excited to just have him on, have a great conversation and just see where we take it.
What's really cool is, again, he's usually the one asking questions to people. Again, that's his whole podcast. So I can't wait till roles are reversed to where we start just digging into him. That guy's just got to be a wealth of knowledge. I know he always referencing books and like in chapter 3, page 12, this person said this, this, and this. And it's just powerful. I'm like, how'd you remember that?
Dude, he's too smart. And if you can get him going really like on some equipment or, which I'm going to need your help on that. But
project managers, we can break that up. I know.
GCs. But just to hear like the not so pretty version of what he does too, because it's all good for all of us online and everything's good. But I think he does a really great job and of, bringing the transparency to it of like, hey, it's not all great, guys. And this world is
really good at that in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
When he just started, I remember he put everything out there about how he had to call people and he was stuck at like an airport, had to wire him money to get home.
Yeah.
So those will be super fun.
Yeah, that's wild. And just like their trajectory and their path right now of what they've got going with their partnerships and the infrastructure, the software, like I'm super excited to dive into that because, the really cool thing is they're making it accessible for everyone, so their digital marketing services, which they only work with X amount of contractors. Like they can't bring on everyone, but they're also coming out with training, their software, so much to kind of make the dirt world a better place and just really get that out there to everyone. So it'll be really cool to see what they have in store. It seems like he's just on a rocket ship and, we're not stopping. We're going to get to dive into that and really just figure that out. So the structure, Luke and I have talked about it. The structure of the Dirt Bags podcast will be the first Friday of every month.
Keep going. Sorry. I'll ask you that question later.
I believe we're doing the first Friday of every month. We'll have it launched on, all platforms. You got your Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube just to make sure that everyone can listen to it. But we're shooting for 1 a month and we want to stay on a consistent timetable so that you guys know when the episodes are dropping. And then we will also be building a website around it. So that way we can have those referrals for you guys if you're just starting out, if you're newer, and also make sure we're pointing you guys in the right direction and just trying to do our best to help you guys out as well and, enjoy this content, but also like if you need something, you'll know where to go to get it.
Luke, why did we name this podcast the Dirt Bags?
Honestly,
is it because we love the dirt and maybe once in a time we were douchebags?
Dude, I think dirtbag and douchebag are two different terms, like big.
Correct.
Time.
They are 100%.
Honestly, I think there's probably 2 parts. Like we definitely wanted to name it something to do with dirt because we're both in the industry. We wanted that to be clear, but honestly,
Dirt Talk was already taken.
Yeah, Dirt Talk was taken, but honestly, we get greasy sometimes. Like if you're out, at a party or if you're out, in the dirt, mudding, doing all that shit, it's like, it's not always pretty. So I think it reflects a little bit on our personalities and, a little bit in the industry that we're in.
Yeah,
so
definitely. If I'm scrolling through business podcasts and I see dirt bags, I'm going to be like, I got to know what this is about.
Yeah. Just 2 grease balls, having some whiskey. And
I showered today. Did you?
A couple of days ago I did, but
okay, perfect. Vegas will get you.
Yeah. Vegas was tough on us, but I won it back on the last night. So
that's good. Were you a blackjack player or were you?
Yeah, definitely blackjack. June hurt me pretty good. And then I can't remember. Oh, Rose helped me win all my money back. So
minor setback, major comeback, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, you gotta stay in it for the long haul, and ATMs are not always your friend, but they can help.
Well, they're very easy to use. That's for sure. You win every time.
Yeah, that's true. It's the only time you'll win, but Cool, man. So, a couple other things before we jump off. Don't want to make the intro too long because we're just cruising right now.
Yeah. I was going to say, what are we're at, like at least 30 some minutes.
Yeah, 36. So,
yep.
Last thing I'll say, we've got one episode a month. We got Aaron Witt coming on here. Last thoughts as you're going through, who would you like to see on? You don't have to be specific, but who are we trying to get on the show as a guest in like this year?
I want to get a range of people. I want to get people with really good stories, really good insight. So not only, the people that are listening can learn, but I want to learn too. I think this is a really good way to obviously get a hold of people. So it'll be fun to have these conversations with these people. But obviously Aaron was huge to get on as our first guest. I'm trying to think of people industry based. I'd love to have Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe would be really cool.
That'd be sweet. That'd be sweet. Cool.
So, he's coming to Fargo, I think, this week. Maybe it's next week. I don't know. But
I'll come up to Fargo and we could do an in-person interview with him.
There we go. We'll just bull rush the stage and kind of make him.
There you go. Awesome.
Just like other people in the industry that, have really good, like I said, stories, experience. We'll obviously do our market research on that, but how about you? Who do you want to see?
Yeah, honestly, just putting together organized content and having people on that want to tell their story, but also, kind of add value to the conversations that we're having. So, like you said, it could be a business owner operator, could be a marketing agency owner. So, I don't know if you'd call Aaron that, because they've got so much going on, but then also, just maybe an association president or like, for example, like a VP of marketing at Bobcat. That's one that popped in my head. I was like, how cool would it be to see the corporate side of what they do and get some insight? So really just bringing on an array of people, because like you said, we definitely don't know everything. So we're also trying to learn as well. And one of the easiest ways to do that is through podcasting, because you can have a conversation, you can kind of say whatever you want, and then really just put out content that way.
Yep. Very easy to reach people and listen and all that fun stuff.
All right. So that's a wrap of the first Dirtbags podcast overview. We've got episode 1 coming. It would be the first Friday in March. We'll have Aaron Witt with BuildWitt on. He's the chief dirt nerd there. So excited to have him on and really dive into his life, his story, and what they're doing to make the dirt world a better place. So we will have our Instagram coming up and, just a bunch of different ways to contact us. But obviously you can follow Luke Payne and Black Iron Dirt, or you can
follow Luke Eggebraaten, Phase of Marketing, and Dirt World Marketing.
Yep. Let's go. So we're trying to reach everyone in a way that, it makes it easy to contact us. So be looking forward to the first episode in March.
Awesome. See you guys in March and ladies in March.
All right, let's go.